Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Sidang penonton sekalian, bersiaran kita sekali lagi bersama dengan siri Bicara Bina Negara ataupun BBN yang ke-14 dengan tajuk Kepimpinan dalam Krisis. Ya. Untuk makluman sidang penonton, siri BBN ini adalah merupakan siri bual bicara yang dibawakan oleh Pertubuhan Ikram Malaysia bagi membincangkan isu-isu berkaitan dengan agenda nasional. Ya. Tema BBN ini berkisar pada 5 isu utama. Yang pertamanya ialah institusi kenegaraan, keduanya kepimpinan berwibawa, ketiganya ialah masyarakat progresif, keempatnya kemakmuran ekonomi dan yang kelimanya ialah perpaduan nasional. Adalah kita diharapkan ianya dapat memberikan perkongsian perspektif, kesedaran serta mendidik masyarakat dalam menyumbang ke arah pembinaan negara Malaysia yang lebih rahmah. Ya. Jadi saya I welcome everybody here. Sudah tentunya saya juga mengalu-alukan tetamu khas kita hari ini iaitu Tan Sri Wan Zul. Ya. Welcome Tan Sri. Dan tugas saya agak ringan hari ini kerana Tan Sri ini tak perlukan banyak introduction. Ramai orang dah kenal dia. Sebagai ringkasan sajalah ya. Tan Sri ini he graduated with chemical engineering degree from the University of Adelaide. Dia sebelum tu dia di Malay College Kuala Kangsar. Dia merupakan juga pelajar terbaik Marian High School dan dia juga graduate SMP, ya, Senior Management Program dari INSEAD dan juga Advanced Management Program dari Harvard. Ya. Pada waktu ini beliau merupakan pengerusi untuk Malaysia Airlines Berhad, Malaysia Aviation Group, DRB Highcom Group dan juga Gas Malaysia Berhad. Ya. Dan beliau juga adalah mantan kepada ExxonMobil, mantan pengarah kepada ExxonMobil. Ya. Satu-satunya lah orang Malaysia yang pernah jadi pengarah ataupun director kepada ExxonMobil, satu-satunya orang Asia dan mungkin orang luar Amerika ya, menjadi pengarah kepada ExxonMobil. Dan beliau juga aktif dalam banyak sidang-sidang yang lain, terutamanya World Economic Forum dalam bidang oil and gas. Ya. Sedikit pendahuluan dan juga introduction ya kepada Tan Sri. Welcome Tan Sri.
Thank you.
Tajuk kita pada hari ini adalah kepimpinan dalam krisis. Ya, dia memberi konotasi bahawa dalam krisis ini kita perlukan kepimpinan yang baik untuk membawa sesuatu organisasi, membawa sesuatu corporate entity ataupun sesuatu negara keluar daripada krisis itu. Jadi we are going to talk about the general principles of management and leadership here, insyaAllah. Tan Sri ya? Okay.
InsyaAllah.
Dan saya kita tak ada banyak masa sebenarnya. 1.5 jam ni akan berlalu dengan terlalu cepat. Jadi biar saya minta izin daripada semua para penonton untuk kami menggunakan bilingual lah ya, antara bahasa Inggeris dan bahasa Melayu, supaya lebih lancar lagi dan supaya idea tu lebih cepat keluar lah ya. Jangan jadikan bahasa tu sebagai satu penghalang ataupun inhibitive factor ya. Okay. Tan Sri, you are known more as a leader of Petronas. Daripada semua jawatan-jawatan yang saya sebut tadi, probably you are one of those very few who started with Petronas and ended with Petronas. Yeah. Alhamdulillah ya. A single organisation career, boleh katakan begitulah, until your recent chairmanship. And your ending in Petronas was as the group CEO and MD, and it happened in 2015, 2016, and it overlaps with the world oil crisis at that time. Yeah, Dan saya ingat backdrop kepada isu ini ialah pada tahun 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 14 ya, harga minyak setong harganya lebih kurang 80, 90, 100 dan 100 dolar per barrel tu adalah harga yang biasa dalam tempoh tu ya. Dan waktu itu juga saya ingat ya, sebagai an outsider observing Petronas, saya perhatikan ada banyak kaki tangan Petronas yang telah dipancing keluar ya. They have been pinched out and they joined many other organizations. So there was pressure also on Petronas to be more competitive dari segi gajinya. Jadi saya rasa massive revision of salary and hence a massive increase in cost happened around about that time. Dan selepas benda tu semua berlaku, maka Tan Sri jadi CEO dan lepas tu harga minyak turun ya dengan drastik sehingga kalau tak silap saya USD 26 dolar ya. Jadi satu penurunan yang drastik dan memerlukan maknanya going back to the drawing board and rewriting the whole strategy. And you came into the picture at that particular time and you brought Petronas, you steadied the boat and you brought Petronas out of that phase, that critical phase. Mungkin Tan Sri boleh share ataupun kongsikan pada kami, what is it that you have done, what are the important lessons that you have learned from that particular crisis period. Silakan Tan Sri.
Okay, Assalamualaikum semua.
Boleh ya.
Assalamualaikum. Alhamdulillah kita dapat bersama pagi ini dan juga terima kasih kepada pihak penganjur kerana menjemput saya untuk sesi ini. Sebenarnya acara ini ditangguh beberapa kali dengan harapan that it can be a physical event, but akhirnya kita terpaksa juga buat online because of the circumstances. And of course online ni the experience is different. I think the experience is not as rich as if it is a physical face-to-face session. So terima kasih saudara Adam dengan introduction tadi. Tapi saya nak tambah sikit ni mengenai moderator kita. Sebenarnya saya dah bersama-sama saudara Adam sejak sekolah menengah lagi dan bersama saudara Adam juga di universiti dan juga at one time he was also my housemate semasa di universiti. Jadi nak kata no to this program tu agak susah untuk saya. So that's why I'm here today. So back to the question. I think you are right. I was appointed to the position in second quarter of 2015. And a few months before that, the oil price was even hit $130 per barrel. And a few months after that, it was $28 or $26 a barrel. So there was a real drastic drop in the oil price. And so if you can imagine the industry, there were a lot of exuberance in the industry. Yeah, so everybody was really, all the industry players were making money. Yeah, and after a few months, suddenly the industry was in a crisis. So when there are a lot of exuberance, some of the not so efficient practices, some of the bad decisions were also not evident. Tapi bila kita dah masuk dalam fasa krisis, all these things become evident. All the inefficiencies and all the value that were leaked out from the industry, that all became evident. So I think that's the context of the industry in 2015. And also I think you said what I did. I must say this, when I assumed the position, I was being blessed with a very strong and very competent leadership team. So so my point is, it is not a one-man show. I think this problem is too complex for any single person to address and resolve it. So the team that I inherited was a very strong and competent team. So I think the first thing that the team did, all of us, almost all of us, maybe all of us, had at least 30 years industry experience. So it was a very experienced team. And therefore, I think when these things happen, there were a lot of intuition, a lot of gut feeling of what needs to be done. But actually, we didn't jump straight into the gut feeling, into the intuition. I think we assemble a lot of multidisciplinary teams to really validate these intuitions. I mean, in Allah we trust, the rest we rely on data. So a lot of this a lot of our gut feeling will have to be validated with data to make sure that it was the right thing to do for the organization. So to cut the long story short, I think a few things were done. I think first we focus on maximizing cash. How to operate Petronas as one unit from upstream right up to selling the products, and how to maximize cash. Look at our inventory, what's our collection, all of the things that any organization would do. Secondly was to cut costs. And when we say cut costs, it is not a matter of deferral of activities, but this is to look at our principally the cost structure. So what are the costs that we can cut permanently? And thirdly was to look at how we do our projects. All of us have been in the company for so long, and there was one way of doing projects. Now we say this is an opportunity how to look at projects differently, how to execute projects differently, and even to change the terms and conditions of our projects punya agreement. So these are the short, that's very brief summary of these are the short term areas that we address. Tapi many organizations fall into the trap of only focusing on short term. So we thought it is also important to address things that will make sure Petronas will be robust in the longer term. So another three things appeared. Yeah. How we develop our talents. Yeah, that's the thing. That as the fourth work stream. How we deploy technology, because oil and gas utilizes a lot of high tech. So how do we deploy, and in which technologies do we invest? And lastly, this crisis presents an opportunity also to roll out a new culture for Petronas. Jadi yang terakhirnya ialah budaya kerja. So that is the culture. So I think those are the things that's quite obvious for the organization. What the organization can see as our short term, but I think that's the visible one. Tapi what I like to address is also the things that are not so obvious. I think this is the more learnings in that. Yeah, apa yang the organization tak nampak. And this is from my personal reflection. I think three things that were done yang organization tak nampak. Personally, I invested in the leadership team. How to make this leadership team, how to increase the chance of this leadership team to be a high performing team. I think so that's one yang mungkin orang tak perasan. Secondly, as I mentioned, is to invest in culture, because culture is very important. So I think that investment is also very important. And thirdly, in any large scale transformation, I think you need the theory behind it. you need some framework behind it, and I think that was what I actually used. You know, I referred a lot to work by quarter on large scale transformation, not to follow to the letter, tapi at least kita refer and we tweak along the way the process of carrying out this transformation. So I think, Saudara Adam, I think those are very brief things that happened during the crisis, and how the team reacted. And I must say again, I've been blessed with an excellent leadership team, and also I've been blessed with good support throughout the organization during this crisis and while carrying out the transformation. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Always the very humble Tan Sri Wan Zul that I know. When he should have taken the credit, dia bagi credit dia pada team dia, you know. I think the team is also very thankful at that time that they have a very good captain to lead them. Yeah. And Alhamdulillah, your expertise has not gone to waste. Now you have been given the honor or the responsibility actually to lead the Malaysian Aviation Group, Malaysia Airlines Berhad. Yeah. Malaysia Airlines ni, as we know, has gone through many crises, not particularly to the organisation, the whole industry sebenarnya has been disrupted many times. So it is a really an industry that is in crisis, apart from the organisation. So saya ada dua soalan di sini. Yang pertamanya ialah apakah usaha-usaha kita untuk menangani krisis di Malaysia Airlines? Ya, itu pertamanya. Whether you're going to use the same principles, whether you're going to use the same tools, you know, or on hindsight and hopefully wiser, you know, with time, etc., with the results that you have shown. Okay, what are the things that you in the crisis management that you will keep? What are the things that you think that you will modify? Yeah. Silakan, Tan Sri. Yeah.
Okay, terima kasih. So first, I like to answer the second question first.
Okay.
You know, I think my role today is very different from my role in 2015. Yeah, today I'm a non-executive. I'm on the board, and actually my objective is how to make the CEO successful. I think that is my primary objective of how I can contribute to Malaysia Airlines. Yeah, so it's a different role. Yeah, it's not a day-to-day function, tapi more to be the CEO punya sounding board, and more to challenge him, more to support him in the things that he wants to do. So that is my primary role today. So mungkin, you know, beza sikit dengan an executive role. So I think that's the but I think for Malaysia Airlines, you know, it is a new industry. Aviation is a new industry for me. Yeah, I mungkin sekarang dah 12 bulan on the board, and it's been a learning experience for me. Yeah, very simple example, you know, kadang-kadang acronyms dia pun, oil and gas dengan aviation, you know, same acronyms but carries a different meaning. OND in oil and gas is olefins and derivatives. Tiba-tiba masuk aviation, OND becomes origin and destinations. So banyak benda, and it was a steep learning curve, and I'm still learning about the industry. Tapi macam mana sekarang the organisation is addressing the crisis, the industry crisis. I put it, there are 4 priorities for Malaysia Airlines hari ini. Yeah. Pertama is to get the shareholders and government support. Because, you know, without shareholders and government support, it will be very difficult to revive this national icon. Secondly is to repair our balance sheet. Yeah, because previously, you know, the debt was so high. It was, and I think to repair the balance sheet was the second priority. The third priority is to reset and reshape the organization. So the first two tu, Alhamdulillah, we have taken it. Yeah, we have got Khazanah punya support, and we have prepared the balance sheet. In fact, in our discussions with the lessors, ramai yang tak tahu. I think the team did very well. There were many achievements, many firsts in the industry while we were restructuring the debt. I think Malaysia Airlines was one of the first companies to come to an agreement with the lessors globally. Yeah, and how we did it and the pace that we did it. So ada banyak achievements that I'm very proud of the team that they have achieved. Yang number tiga is what we are today, attending to today, is how to reset and reshape the organization. So what I mean by that, it is, even to reset the business model. Hari ni, I mean, years ago, Malaysia Airlines was just flying people from A to B. Tapi sekarang kita nak reset the business model so that it will include airlines business. It will also include e-commerce and travel solutions. And it will include aviation services. So there'll be more pillars as a group rather than relying on just airline. So this is also to address the volatility in the industry, sama dengan oil and gas juga. Yeah. So, and then a lot of on the culture of the organization, on customer centricity, on digitalization. So banyak benda yang even though we are not flying as much these days, tapi banyak in-house things that we are taking this opportunity to reset and reshape the organization. Hopefully it'll be a different company when things picks up again. Yang tu number tiga. Yang number empat is to re-engineer the ecosystem for aviation in Malaysia. So sekarang ni, and this is not a Malaysia, ini bukan saja untuk Malaysia Airlines tapi untuk semua airlines in Malaysia, ya, AirAsia, Malindo, Firefly. So how do we engage the regulators so that the policies and the regulation will make aviation industry more sustainable, more robust going forward? So in summary, Saudara Adam, those are the four things that we are attending to. But I think before I go, I just one thing, like you said, Malaysia Airlines need crisis after crisis after crisis. Yeah? MH370, MH17, sekarang ni COVID. But one thing I really appreciate is the resilience of the staff. Yeah, crisis after crisis, they are still very dedicated. The energy level is still high, and sometimes I really wonder how the kind of passion they have to this national brand, to this national icon is so strong. So I just want to share that observation, and I hope the next time anybody of the audience think about flying, please think about Malaysia Airlines. Thank you.
Inshallah, we sure do. We'll remember that. In fact, in the survey conducted by the shareholder of Malaysia Airlines many years ago, I think the sentiment of most Malaysians ialah they want Malaysia Airlines to be around, the national carrier to be around. So our sentiment are there, inshallah. Yeah. So we would like to see a better Malaysia Airlines and a better aviation industry for Malaysia as a whole. I think kita ni dah we are already a hub for the regional flying the air punya industry. Yeah. So I think we should maintain that. Yeah. So Tan Sri, I would like to share with you, we have already 500 viewers here, so my apologies lah. It's supposed to be a low key and small number, tapi I cannot stop so many people interested to join this, and usually kalau 500 ni the total viewership, because it's on FB, you'll find that it will be in the thousands lah, because people will come and revisit after they miss, if they miss the program ya. So kita mengharapkan bahawa semua penonton kita dapat menghayati dan juga mempelajari beberapa prinsip-prinsip yang penting ya. So Tan Sri, you talking about specific examples just now on how you steered Petronas and how you are steering Malaysia Airlines. What crosses my mind is that we can have a framework. Yes, we can have a framework. That is the hard side, yeah, and that is the science side. But the art side is when to use the framework, how to use the framework, how much of step A and how less of step B to be applied. Yang itu yang seninya lah. Yeah, I think a smart leader would not just know what to use, but how to use the tools available to him. Yeah, and I think you have done well. And you have some orang kata bullets on your body to prove that actually you have gone through those tough times. But perhaps if we were to take these learnings from specific examples to their generality, for example, would these same change management principles be applicable in running our economy or in another setting of another organization with different types of crisis? What are specific applications there that can be extracted and can be extrapolated into general leadership principles that goes beyond even change management, for example? Jadi I think these are the important things, because a lot of people always look for that magic formula. Tapi sebenarnya many things, this so-called magic formula, are just the same formula being applied in a different form, different manner, and sometimes even different names. So I'd like to take this opportunity for you, if you can share some insight into the important general principles about leadership and management that you have derived from your experience. Thank you.
I think that there is no magic formula, and then I always believe there is no guarantee on the outcome. Cumanya I think you can improve your chance of success. I think that's the only thing we can strive for, kan? Tapi there's no guarantee, there's no magic formula, and I think every industry will have got its own idiosyncrasies. But if you look at, if I think about crisis or things that are common at various industries, one thing I think in a crisis, mental toughness is very important. What I mean mental toughness is things like clarity in thoughts. You're clear. You're clear. You're thinking clearly. Things like able to compartmentalize issues, but at the same time joining the dots. And maybe also what I personally found to be very useful, because dalam masa crisis ni there'll be so many things coming from different directions, so many curveballs, things you don't expect, coming at odd times of the day, different in different shapes and form. I think the other thing is also your ability to know when you want to step back and when you want to deep dive into an issue. So benda macam ni very difficult from the theory part, but I think it's just your gut feeling that's being shaped by your experience, kan? Tapi the ability to step back and deep dive, I find to be very important for you to be effective in addressing a crisis, especially when you are at the leadership position. So I think this mental toughness, this clarity in thoughts would be important, and I think that will be something that cuts across the industries, yeah, that may be facing crisis. I think the other universal things are, the concept of trustworthiness, the concept of amanah, and I must go back to Petronas for this, because this is a very entrenched characteristic in the DNA of Petronas. Yeah, integrity. I mean, this is, Petronas may shed values, if I can recall, tak tukar daripada arwah Tun Azizan lagi. Yeah, so this integrity, so it's very, 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 very entrenched in the whole organization. Doesn't mean that it's 100% perfect. No, definitely not. But as a strong characteristic of the DNA, I think Petronas stands out. Yeah, this trustworthiness, this, the responsibility when you are in a position of trust. Tapi bila kita kata amanah, especially for the Muslim punya staff, it resonates well, and it resonates differently. Yeah, because you are answerable not only here but also hereafter. It resonates differently, and I think that is a very. But what I like to digress a bit. Semua organisation ada values. I mean, almost all lah. Ada values, ada integrity pledge lah, ada, all the things that's required on the wall. Yeah. But I think what differentiates organizations yang actually fully subscribe to this, to the core, is very much is tone from the top. Yeah, the tone from the top, what the leadership team, how they act, how they behave, what they say, I think it makes a lot of difference. And it's also about continuous reminder. And continuous reminder, I mean, I don't know how many times you must say it before someone gets it. Yeah, I don't know, 11 times or 14 times, or I'm not sure. But this continuous reminder, and especially in organization, there are new recruits, ada yang orang pencen, ada orang baru masuk, ada orang kontrak masuk. So it is an ongoing effort. And also lastly, what I observe, consequence management is important. Yeah, the consequence management, if you don't, if you are at fault, it doesn't matter whether you are the president or to the lowest level in the organization, you are subjected to the same consequence management. So I think that differentiates organizations that really enshrines this concept of amanah or integrity versus many other organizations yang also have, tapi not really. But I like to also say, to me, integrity is also not just about corruption, not just about. I think it is, especially when you are in a leadership position, is to decide what's best for the organization. I think that is part of amanah as well. So if you expand your scope of amanah, yeah, I think what's best for the organization, especially when you're in the position of where you can make a difference. I think that is a very big piece. And sometimes, it may create personal inconvenience for you. It may be many things. But if you are focused on what's best for the organization, I think it makes your actions easier to understand.
Okay, Tan Sri, so many take homes from you just now. If I may just pick and choose quite randomly, the clarity of thought tu lah, dalam keadaan krisis, or even in cool times, or in less crisis plague times, we need a cool head. We need a calming hand. We don't have to press panic button every time it is a panic situation. You need to have that calmness. You talk about amanah, which I like so much. I will get back to that later on. But I remember it is one set of shared values that I will memorize, and I have memorized for a long time. That is the shared values of Petronas, yeah, cohesiveness, loyalty, integrity, and professionalism. So integrity stands very high. As you know, as a consultant, I deal with many organizations, and one of them is Petronas. Yeah, but fortunately, or I think it's more fortunately than unfortunately. Tan Sri Wan Zul doesn't even know I do business with Petronas. Okay, so but one of the things that I found very interestingly is that it is one of those organizations that I can proudly say uphold the principle of integrity very highly. And setting the tone from the top, walking the talk, leading by example. After you set the tone, I think that's also very important. Kan, Tan Sri, kan? What do you think? So
Yes, yes.
that also is a very daunting task, not for you to just say something, set the tone, but make sure people believe in the tone that you set by the things that you do after that. Yeah, continuous reminder, kita ni semua pelupa. Yeah, consequence management. Okay, di sinilah kadang-kadang berlaku dalam corporate Malaysia. Bila kita mendapat ganjaran untuk perkara yang salah, yeah, if you don't get punished for doing the wrong things, if you get punished for doing the right things, for example, yeah, in one organization, the culture is such that if you don't make any mistakes, then you tend to rise. If you take a chance and make a decision that is important in your view to be taken, and that decision is wrong, then you will be black marked, dikambing hitamkan, and you will be put in cold storage. Yeah? And this happens, in many organizations. Yeah? And people tend to have the mum effect, not to say anything, be less controversial, and the best way of not making the wrong decision is for you to not make any decisions at all. Ya, kadang-kadang berlaku gitu. So at the end of the day, when you reward negative behaviors like that, then you tend to also perpetuate the negative behaviors. That's what is happening in my observation, Tan Sri. You feel free to correct me on my observation as well. So all this leads to a very important principle, as you also mentioned just now, that we need to have not just a person, but also a group of people to be able to help and assist us to bring about this change. So Tan Sri, you talked about your leadership team just now. Maybe you can expound a little bit on how do you strive to assemble a team of caliber to help you steer the crisis. By the way, Tan Sri, the viewership now is around about 900,000, sorry, almost 1,000. Okay.
I before I answer this the leadership team ni, I just want to take on what you mentioned just now about culture. Kan, about culture ni, I think it is. I'm a strong advocate, and I truly believe in the importance of culture. I think I just want to share from a business punya perspective. Just something that stuck in my mind for a long time. There was this survey done on a group of, this is business lah. This is purely business, on a group of, I think, berapa puluh ribu, I'm not sure. Yeah, survey done. On the question was, if you want to improve on your business results, then what's the amount of time you spend on strategy and on culture? So if I'm not mistaken, nearly 70 to 75% of the respondents say I spend on strategy. 75% of my time I spend on strategy, and the balance on culture. The same group is also being asked the question, what do you think has got the most impact on your business results? The same group ni, more than 90% says it's culture and the balance says it's strategy. So I just want, you know, that statistic really is really stuck to my mind, because, you know, why do we do things that are not so important? I mean, why do we spend more time on things that are not so important for us? Kan? So just on your point on culture tadi, because I think it will be a differentiator for organizations, and then that's what I truly believe. Yang on the leadership teams, I said, you know, I mean, Petronas, I was being blessed by having a set of colleagues that grew up together in the organization, most of us. So we knew each other, we know the spouses, we know each one's punya strength and each one punya weaknesses. So that really is an important is a setting lah, yeah, on how this high performing team. You know, teams ni, high performing teams, normally you get to be in that team because you are talented, because you're a performer. So you have in that group a very talented, a very high energy, high motivation, very highly opinionated set of people. Kan? And in groups like this, if you don't play it right, it's easy for them to run out of control, because semua ni performers, semua ni very very good at their jobs. So I think it's very important for the leader to really create that environment where we can extract maximum from individuals, and also we can help those who are not so strong. So I think the first one is to create a real team. Very easy that you can say I'm in the leadership team, tapi I think to create a real team is very important. And what do I mean by real teams? You know? I mean teams that really know this is their scope. Like if I can use example in Petronas, we said, let us decide, the leadership team is called as ELT, Executive Leadership Team. Cuma including the president, 9 orang, only nine of us. But, you know, let us only decide things that can't be decided outside this ELT. So very, very few strategic things comes to ELT. So, you know, I think that is to give you an example about the terms of reference. And the interdependency is also very important. Yeah, not everybody is interdependent on the other. So that's how you create a real team. But the most important of all is trust. You must trust your team members. Kalau you tak ada trust, no matter what you do, I think it will not be a good outcome. So I think trust is important. And then the second one, I think, is everybody must have an aligned direction, aligned vision. What is it? How success looks like for the team. Jadi semua orang kena have the same, and that helps a lot. And very, very important also, you must have the right people on the team. Walaupun he's your friend, but if he's not what the organization needs, that he cannot be on the team, he shouldn't be on the team, then he shouldn't. So the right people is so important. So I think those are a few things that, you know, I try to work on without being too visible. How to create this team so that we increase the chance of the teams being successful. So I think those are sikit sebanyak lah on what I think is worthwhile to share.
Alhamdulillah. I think thank you, Tan Sri. Developing a team is definitely one of the important agenda, it seems, in your journey in transforming and also managing crisis. Of course, you need to make sure that there is element of trust, that you trust the team. I think the team also must trust the leaders. I think that's also very important. Otherwise, it will not work. Yeah, I said just now that I wanted to come back to the issue about amanah. Yeah, I remember on the last day you were in Petronas, you were talking about the importance of amanah ataupun trust ni. Yeah, when you are given a position of trust, you will face conflicting choices and different decisions. Sometimes standing by your principles may prove unrewarding and downright unpopular. It is a lonely path that true leaders must tread. But at the end of it, doing the right thing allows you to have the peace of mind, a clarity of consciousness of having discharged your amanah, your responsibility with honesty and honor. Yeah. And even the darkest storm will pass. Yeah? So I'm just quoting what you mentioned in the last day. Yeah? And and you are quite consistent today. You talk about amanah, you're doing the right things, even though it might not be popular. So that resonates, and this message of yours resonates very well, and well received and often quoted by so many people. Yeah. But I'd like to also, put into context about consequence management. It seems that to some people, when you try to do the right things, you get punished, and when you play ball uh, with powers that be, you get rewarded, even though it's the wrong thing to do. So maybe these are the real things that a lot of people would be having in their mind. How do I balance having doing the right things versus skirting negative consequences to yourself. Maybe at a personal level, might want to share some of these insights as an advice to so many young people out there starting their career, and seeing all these negative consequences to doing the right things, being the biggest detractors to holding your amanah. Tan Sri, silakan.
I think I'm always guided by what's best for the organization. Kan in any organization that I work for lah. Kan? I think it is what's best for the organization, and the truth of the matter is, the more senior you are, I think
Mm,
there is no black and white.
mm,
Yeah, there are
mm,
options, there are a lot of gray options, there are a lot of whatever
yeah.
color you want to say, kan, but
Mm,
there's no, and sometimes, the information that you have, you make
mm,
decisions on information that you have. You may not have all of the information, but I think the more senior you are, the more information you have compared to the others. So I think there will be trade-offs. Yeah, there will
mm,
be trade-offs along the way. But as long as you can live with the trade-off, as long as it is not detrimental to the organization, I think that's okay. Because I would say there will be many gray areas, but
mm,
I think there are also some red lines lah.
mm,
There are also some red lines that you don't want to cross. So while this is black and white, there's gray, but there's also red. Kan? So I don't know how else to explain, but I think each one will have their own set of
mm.
parameters of what they consider gray, what they consider black and white, and what they consider red lah. So I think
Okay.
that's how I can uh,
Okay. Okay, Tan
try
Sri,
to
thank you very much
explain.
for being candid to the point that you can be candid lah. So I think the others, you have to walk your own path lah, and then you will find. And then I think dalam hadis pun disebutkan bahawa dosa tu ialah apa saja yang menggaruk di jiwa, what bothers your conscience, and you know that is wrong lah. That is probably the red line. You would know what is right and what is wrong if you put the right questions and get the guidance from Allah SWT, insyaAllah. Yeah. Okay. Saya nak the last question, Tan Sri. We are really, time really flies. Yeah. Listening to your answers, but I'd like to just the last question. About SDG, sustainable development, goals, balancing the three P's, people, planet, and profit. Making sure that this world is a greener place. I think perhaps in your career, you have a certain perspective of that, yeah, about what sustainability entails. Many people will question, how does somebody leading an oil and gas company, for example, you are now still a chairman of Malaysia Gas Berhad, right? So these are hardly associated with sustainability, but perhaps you have some thoughts on that. Silakan, Tan Sri.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I have a lot of thoughts on that. Yeah, but the thing is, I think this, when we left school, when we left university, I think, at that time the main purpose of business is to make profit for the shareholders. Kan? I think at that time I'm not, I don't think I'm wrong in saying that lah. Kan? But over the years there's been a change, there's been an evolution, and today, the sustainability is really a big issue. Is on the agenda of all boards, or almost all boards, yeah, on sustainability, on how your business makes a difference to the society, yeah, to the planet, to the people. So I think it's changing. Yeah, it's changing, and many companies have got no choice but to change. Yeah. So on these people ni, on the people, on the society ni, I think over the years also, I'm, thank God, alhamdulillah, I've been with Petronas for over 35 years, and Petronas is also very strong with regards to um, well-being of the society, of the people. Does a lot in that space for a long time. Yeah, in terms of education, in terms of, so now a lot of businesses are focused on education, on access to energy, on the standard of living, which if you think about it, those should also be the priorities of the business. Yeah, is to talk about all the stakeholders. Now Gini index is a very popular measure, tapi I believe today there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of sustainability reporting, because kita tak harmonise lagi, how the reporting should be, and because different companies would have different ways of reporting, and a lot of companies are also may also greenwashing, in terms of, to get a premium on these areas of green. So banyak lagi kerja yang for those who are in accounts, TCFD pun punya standards and all that are still being debated. So a lot of things to be done going forward. But on the planet, you mentioned about I have some views on this. When I think about climate change, and baru ni also, those who follow IPCC just published AR6, talking about the status of where we are in terms of going to net zero by 2050, and all the scenarios. Tapi kalau kita tengok, we have a big problem. When I think about climate change, I cannot decouple it from the issue of energy trilemma, because a lot of it has got to do with energy. And this energy trilemma is, how do we produce reliable energy, affordable energy, and sustainable energy? Because dia pun ada impact on the standard of living of the population, of the global population. So, if we really want to achieve what we set out to do in 2050, there must be a complete transformation of how we generate energy, how we transport, how do we store energy, and how we use energy. So ini is a massive total transformation. I would like to give you some statistics, because I find it quite, in 2050, the projection is the global population is 9.8 billion. So sekarang kita around about 7 billion, going to 9.8 billion. The size of the global economy will be more than double. And to achieve 2 degrees punya scenario, the energy consumption should be less than 8% of what it is today. So you imagine, ramai lagi orang, economy is more than double, tapi we got to use less energy than what we are using today. So it is a big challenge, and honestly, I think there are a lot of discrepancies between the rhetorics and the reality. Yeah, ramai people are into this. But there are no clear underlying strategies or implementation plans ataupun policy how we want to get to below 2 degrees punya scenario. Also, I give you another data lah. Today, globally, we are producing 34 billion tons of carbon dioxide today. Yeah. And then, kalaulah kita, there are various scenarios. There's one that's called stated policy punya scenario. With that steps, in 2050, actually the CO2 will increase rather than going down. Kan? So I think we are far from the objective. Sebab we don't have real plans. And I think kalau kita nak ada real plans ni, it must involve regulators, it must involve industry players, it must involve consumers collectively. Then only there's a chance of us. But personally, I think this is a very, very difficult problem. But the good thing is we have got ambitious targets. Yeah. So now we need to have good policies, good implementation plan. But it must be inclusive lah. Semua orang must be together in this, and only time will tell whether we can get to our target or not. So we have a real problem in front of us, and that's why it's on the agenda of many boards of many companies, because we got to do this together. I don't know whether I answered your question, Sir Adam, but those are some of my thoughts on this 3P involving the planet. I think my moderator is frozen now. I think there's some maybe connection issues. So I believe we are going straight to the questions now. I believe is how to an organization as a leader with integrity during handling crisis. Well, that's. I think I may have touched this just now. But I like I said, the concept of integrity or very closely linked to amanah. But I would extend this concept of amanah is I think to decide what's best for the organization. I think that's how I would like to answer this question. you decide what's best for the organization, and I think you'll be on the right track with all the values that you have.
Okay. Okay,
And
Tan
your
Sri, sorry.
background?
I was out of the picture for a while. Okay. I have a few more questions to ask, but there's a stream of questions already flowing in, Tan Sri. I would like to um, quote what was one question that was asked by Datuk Dr. Halina. The question is, could you expound a little bit on followership, perhaps the forgotten side of leadership, you know? How important it is for you to be a good follower, not just be a good leader.
You know, I think one of the criteria of leadership is you have a followership. And if you don't have followers, then then you're not you're not a leader by definition. And so I think this followership, it see a lot of this. I feel a lot of this part of being a leader. I'm talking about the business lah. I'm talking about the business punya perspective, and nothing else. Yeah. So a lot of this, I think, the role of leaders, very importantly, and this is the differentiation between if you are a task-oriented leader ataupun you are an enterprise leader. I think when you are an enterprise leader, a very big responsibility that you have, at least that's what I believe, is to create an environment where people can perform at their best. So bukannya you nak, bukannya you nak tanya dah buat ni ke belum, dah buat kan? Is how do you create environment, because you can make the difference. If you are a leader, you can make the difference, and it is very important to know that you can make the difference. Tapi if you set your mind, what is it that I can do to create an environment that my staff, that the organization can perform to their potential. And I think if you think along those lines, that will create a lot of followership. And especially now when the demographics is very different. Yeah, demographics is different, and I see it, even though I'm non-executive these days, I see it a lot of new requirements of you becoming a leader telah post this pandemic. Ya sekarang ni, working from home, you need a new leadership skills. Kalau dulu kita, during my time, you can go and motivate and encourage people by visiting sites, by talking face to face to them. But now you need to have that ability to do it online. And so this followership ni, there's one thing that comes to my mind is that what you can do to create the best environment for people to perform. I think that's how I would answer. Of course lah, dia banyak lagi benda lah. I mean, you give them the appropriate rewards, you give them not money, sometimes recognition, those kind of things. Tapi I think, to me, a big job is how to create that ambience, how to create that environment where people will do their best, people will do more than what they are expected to do, because they trust and they don't mind working for the leader. So I think that's how I would answer the question.
Okay. Thank you, Tan Sri. You have been very kind, because some people say that you get the leader that you deserve. I remember a story being often quoted bila zaman selepas Nabi, Ali, when he was a leader, bila dia jadi khalifah, banyaklah kontroversi masa dia jadi khalifah tu. Jadi orang kata, kenapa masa zaman Umar ni okey je, tak ada kontroversi, tak ada konflik yang teruk-teruk, masa Ali ni jadi khalifah macam-macam berlaku peperangan Jamal lah, Siffin lah dan sebagainya. Jadi Ali pun menjawab, dia kata masa zaman Omar ni muka macam ni lah jadi follower, you know. masa zaman aku jadi khalifah ni orang muka macam kau ni jadi follower dia. So I thought that was a very interesting response by Ali. Of course he's full of quips, dia pandai menjawab, ya. Alhamdulillah. So yeah, that's also very important. So two specific questions with regards to your dwell in your efforts in Malaysia Airlines. One is about value creation in the airlines industry. I think there is, kalau kita tengok accounting wise, it might be something. Economic wise, it might be something else. Jadi the airline industry is one of those. It might be accounting wise might not be profitable, but economic wise for the nation it might be more than justified. Yeah. So maybe that was the intent of the question. So question is leadership is a keen to soft approach to management. I hope Tan Sri will highlight us on the value creation of airlines industry and the value drivers. Number one. There was also another question by Saudara Tajuddin Hashim. Dia soalannya ialah what is there a place for MEFCOM in the airlines industry, in the new the future of the airlines industry in Malaysia? Silakan Tan Sri. Yeah.
Okay, I think exactly the spin-offs and the just in terms of people involved in the airline industry, because when we think about airline industry, we cannot think about kapal terbang tu terbang and only the pilots, only the cabin crew and the engineers, tapi there are a lot more. Yeah, a lot more, and specifically, we used to be very good in MRO, in maintenance repair punya tu, but we kind of lagged a bit these days, so we're trying to boost up, as like Saudara Adam mentioned just now. We used to be a hub for MRO, and so that's one thing, and a lot of spin-offs, but the biggest contributor is onto tourism. Because tourism, I don't remember how many billion, was it 8 or 18? I'm not sure. The income from tourism before the crisis, but this is a prerequisite if you want to have a healthy tourism industry as an income earner for the nation. I think you must provide this connectivity. Tourism is one, trade is another one. See, masa COVID ni, actually mass cargo is doing pretty well, the cargo business. So some of the passenger planes are converted to cargo, to carry cargo, because the trades are doing well. In fact, they are some quarters they are ahead of their budget also, mass cargo. So you cannot discount this importance of trade. Tapi itulah like Saudara Adam mentioned lah, these don't appear in Malaysia Airlines punya PNL, but the spin-offs and all are being benefited by the nation. So I think that's very important. And on connectivity, macam Sabah Sarawak and all that, it is a service. I mean, for connectivity. So while we want to be commercial, but I think as a national airline, there are also other obligations. Sama macam Petronas juga lah. So I think that's always the balance. The other thing, the other question is about MEFCOM. I think I wouldn't want to make a comment here, because these are still matters that are being discussed by the government in terms of MEFCOM dengan CAN. Whether it should be, they were once merged and then they were open, and then there are some issues. Yeah, so I think this is being discussed at the government, how to streamline all this, and so that we have a very healthy aviation industry.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. I just go through to the next question ya, Tan Sri. Ada yang tanya from Muhammad Fauzi Mat, dia kata consequence management part of amanah, similar treatment for those at the top right down to the bottom, missing in the current leadership of the nation. what more from the Islamic background leaders? So that's a more of a comment if you want to respond to it. Yeah. And also, another question, Tan Sri, if from Wan Haris, if I may, what qualities are lacking in your observation from the today's leaders? Dia tak kata national leaders lah, today's leaders. Yeah. Maybe in your
I think
experience,
Fauzi,
shoulders with many leaders. Yeah.
I've got no comments on Fauzi. He's an ex-Petronas staff, so I believe on the second question, what qualities are lacking? I think Malaysia has got, it's not short of leaders. I don't think Malaysia is not short of leaders. These are just the unpolished gems that are not that has not surfaced yet. And it is very much an individual punya values, individual punya characteristics. But I don't think I'm quite bullish in terms of the pipeline of leaders in Malaysia, especially for the younger ones.
Okay, good. So, but in terms of qualities, if I can broadly divide this them into two, one, the issue of competency as leaders, the other one is the issue of of integrity as leaders. Which do you think would be more daunting in the current
I mean the theoretical question would be integrity lah. The theoretical answer lah, kan? Even Warren Buffett or whatever says, integrity comes first. But I think that is right. Tapi masalahnya kat ni, how the maintenance. First, how do you assess integrity? If there is a new joiner that you are interviewing, how do you assess integrity? And secondly is how do you, the maintenance part lah. I mean, if he has got good integrity upon entering your organization, how do you maintain that? So I think very much just like our personalities and all that, we are shaped by the environment. So that's why again, my belief that if you have a culture that is correct, that will shape the environment. And I think that will nurture and groom the qualities that you need in that organization to produce the results that you want. So I go back to the culture punya argument lah, kan?
Okay, this one I don't know whether you want to respond to this. I know a question from Nur Hakimah, maybe one of your ex-staff on the energy transition. We saw recently the Netherlands court orders the oil giant to cut its emission worldwide. Do you think Malaysia should move in that same direction as well, in line with Paris? Yeah.
Malaysia has got NCD and NDC, National Determined Commitments, yeah, and then we are part of Paris Agreement. It's a 45% reduction. Now I'm trying to think the baseline. Is it 2009 or I'm sorry, I forgot about the baseline. But there is a reduction, and we are in it. And it says 45%, tapi ada contingent. I think it's 35% from the baseline, tapi the 10% too if we get financial and technical assistance from developed countries. So we are there. But you imagine. This goes back to the energy trilemma. All this will cost money. Yeah, all this will cost money. All this will increase in the price of power. For instance, let me talk about Malaysia Airlines lah. There's a carbon offset program. So how many of us would be willing to pay a higher ticket price to pay for our carbon footprint that whenever we fly to London or fly to Kota Kinabalu or wherever? So that's why I think it involves this energy trilemma is so difficult. Yeah, you want a reliable energy, you want a affordable energy, and you want a sustainable energy. Many of the developing countries, this affordability takes precedent. So what Singapore can do will be very different what Laos can do, for instance. And so jadi I think Malaysia should move in that direction, tapi at what pace, I don't have the answer. At what pace and what are the considerations? I think there are many things to consider. And I give you another statistics because if you want to today the globally the renewable energy is only around about 8% contribution. For us to reach Paris 2050, from this 8%, we have got to go to 40% of the contribution of the energy from renewables. Fossil fuels today is around about 80%. We've got to go down to 20%. And actually, the balance is taken up by nuclear. So, that's why I rasa this energy literacy ni maybe not everybody is up to speed yet, kan? Tapi there are so many implications that has got to be studied. So that's why I say, kadang-kadang the rhetorics is there. I think we should move to Paris, but we've got many things to consider.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Another question from Abdul Rashid Munir from Muslim Business Network. The question is, you talk about crisis management tadi. Now, we in Malaysia, we are facing economic crisis. Yeah. How do you see, all these economic crisis, the crisis management can be applied to the current economic crisis?
I think today the reality is not solely only economic. Yeah, I think there are other crises that's ongoing. So kita tak boleh it has got to be a wholesome approach. But I think I also believe we should never waste a crisis. So there could be learnings, there could be things that we do differently going forward, but it's not only about economic crisis, because I think you really got to look at the health. Yeah. So it's not only about livelihood, it's also about lives. So I think it must be taken, and there will be trade-offs. When you've got multiple crises going on, there will be trade-offs, and this is something that's not easy.
Right. Okay. A question from Haji Zakaria Kasa. Sorry. Yeah. The question is, if you can crystallize the three most important qualities of a leader in managing crisis. I think you've talked a lot, tapi just crystallize into three.
Ni pun Haji Zakaria ni pun kalau tak salah pun someone I know very well from Petronas juga. So anyway, I still go back on mental toughness tadi. Yeah, mental toughness in terms of clarity of thoughts and all that. I think that's very important. Yeah, to when you're hit on many fronts, I think mental toughness is important. I think it all boils down from there actually. Yeah, because I like this analogy. Sometimes many leaders are like swans. Kan, above water tu nampak very composed, very calm and all that. But beneath the water, actually, the feet are just scrambling and flapping just to keep afloat. And I believe that is true. I believe but it's important to have that composure, to have that confidence, in times of crisis for the organization. So for Haji Zakaria, I still think that clarity of thought is important. I still think during crisis ni, I not to say, but I think to have some theoretical knowledge about things that you do, what steps that you take, what you tweak, and you must tweak, along the way, because it's not a paper exercise. And I think the last one is about human skills. Human skills, a lot of psychology involved. Haji Zakaria also knows, during these times, I had, when I was in Petronas, I also had a part-time organizational psychologist in my office, just to advise on how to do it, when to do it, what to say, how frequent you say it. Because like Adam mentioned, I'm an engineer. I'm not trained in psychology. So it is. I think those would be. I don't know whether in that order or not, but those are the things that comes to mind about things that you need as a leader during times of crisis.
Okay, thank you. This is a statement from Maya Green. Dia kata we need to get more young people involved in politics and contributing to the building of the future. How we can get more young people to get involved and participate in public life. Yeah. So I don't know whether you would like to respond to that. The comments that has agreed with what you have mentioned. Do you want to respond to that question, Tan Sri, or to get younger people to be more involved? Yeah.
I think I've got growing up children in my house, teenagers, and some are past teenager. But I think I don't know. I don't have data. I don't have statistics. But there is a natural interest in participating in public lives, because values are very different from my time or from Saudara Adam punya time. Yeah, values are very different. I think a lot more purpose driven. I must say, a lot more purpose driven, and so that's why I think organizations going forward will also have to be purpose driven, because I think that will attract the younger people, and organizations have got no choice now, but they will have to be purpose driven to attract the talents that they want. So I think just by nature of their environment, the social media, I think they are more qualified than we are. They are more exposed than we are at the same age. So they are more intelligent than we are. So I think it is there's a natural tendency for them to be more participative in public life.
Thank you. Tan Sri, kita dah dekat pukul 12 dah, Tan Sri. If you don't mind, could you perhaps give us a summary of what you have shared with us, your parting words lah before I wrap up the session. Thank you.
No, first of all, thank you very much to the organizers. Thank you for inviting me, opportunity to share some of my thoughts, some of my perspective. I think just to talk about leadership in managing some of the crisis from the business perspective. I hope I've shared some of my experiences, and I cannot stress the importance of having a good team. I cannot stress the importance of having a good culture, and I think going forward there will be new challenges for businesses when it comes to sustainability, when it comes to the 3 Ps, when it comes to climate. So I think this would be, and I think the type of leadership will also be different going forward, and we should be agile to prepare ourselves for the new future. Thank you very much. Thank you, Adam. Thank you for being a great moderator, and I wish everyone well. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. That is Tan Sri Wan Zul for you. Tan Sri is one of those characters whose humility has not changed much. It's very grounded, when I used to call him brother Wan Zul, sampai dia jadi Tan Sri Wan Zul, is the same character, the same smile, the same demeanor, the same character. Tan Sri, it was a very enriching 1.5 hours with you. Banyak perkara yang telah Tan Sri sharekan. Your last remarks I will not repeat, tetapi saya rasa apa yang Tan Sri sebutkan tadi, dalam menangani krisis, kita kena mulakan dengan satu team. Kita perlukan satu framework, ya. Framework ni framework untuk perubahan, menangani krisis ini, ataupun framework ini bukanlah yang kita pegang dan kita tak boleh nak tweak langsung, tak boleh nak tukar langsung. Malahan kita kenalah mengubah suai mengikut keperluan dan mengikut organisasi dan mengikut industri yang kita tangani. Dan juga Tan Sri mengingatkan pentingnya untuk kita menganggap bahawa apa saja tanggungjawab yang diberi pada kita, yang digalasi oleh kita di peringkat organisasi dan juga di peringkat apa sajalah negara dan sebagainya, adalah satu amanah yang kita akan dipersoalkan, ya. Saya ingin akhiri sesi kita ini dengan mengungkapi ayat Al-Quran, inna sam'a wal basara wal fuada kullu ulaika kanu anhu mas'ula. Sesungguhnya pendengaran kita, penglihatan kita dan hati-hati kita semuanya akan dipertanggungjawabkan. Jadi peganglah amanah yang telah diserahkan kepada kita, sama ada dalam keadaan krisis ataupun bukan keadaan krisis. Selagi kita menangani satu-satu ataupun menggalasi satu tanggungjawab, hendaklah kita laksanakan dengan cara yang terbaik dan kita laksanakan dengan membuat perkara yang terbaik untuk organisasi. What is good for the organisation, but what is not what is expedient, for us to do. Jadi saya rasa benda tu memang lebih mudah untuk kita cakap daripada untuk kita laksanakan. Tapi inilah dia, sebab inilah kita ada sesi-sesi seperti BBN ini untuk mengingati diri saya dan diri tuan-tuan semua, pentingnya untuk kita melakukan bahagian kita untuk menjadikan Malaysia ni suatu negara yang lebih baik, ya. So today we talk about corporate Malaysia. Maybe tomorrow we talk about another discipline, is about national leadership whatsoever. Itu sebahagian daripada siri BBN kita, insyaAllah. Sehingga kita ketemu lagi dalam sesi-sesi yang seterusnya. Terima kasih kami yang tidak terhingga kepada Tan Sri Wan Zulkifli yang sudi mencemaduli bersama-sama dengan kita, dan juga kepada semua pengikut-pengikut kita lah, yang 1,000 lebih yang mengikuti sesi ini, dan beribu lagi yang akan menontoni sesi ini di dalam Facebook nanti. Kita mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih. Please do follow us and please do give your feedback, positive and negative, so that we can continuously develop and improve. Terima kasih. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya serahkan balik pada para penganjur. Terima kasih.
Bersama kita menempuh jalan ini, bangkitlah bersemangat, tegarkanlah jiwa kita semua.
Terus melangkah menghadapi segala rintangan, teguh bersama berdepan dengan agenda